welcome to NPS Now, your source for news and information about Norfolk Public Schools. I'm your host, Karen Tanner, and with me today is Tamala Richardson, Coordinator for Pre-K Early Learning, and Lilia Tynes of Early Learning. Welcome, ladies, to NPS Now.
Good morning.
Thank you for having us.
I'm excited to have you on today because it's about that time of year where we start rounding up our pre-K kids and having them enroll. So I'm going to talk with you first, Tamala. What is the new pre-K registration program that we have this year?
Well, it's a little bit different. We are following models that are done throughout the state where we centrally are going to have locations where all parents from across the city can come and register. They need to be age 3 or 4 by September 30th, 2015 to be eligible to apply, and Norfolk residents.
That's great. And Lilia, I'm trying to pronounce your name correctly, give you 15 minutes of fame. Why is it important for our children to enroll in pre-K?
Well, pre-K gives every child an opportunity to prepare for kindergarten. We want to make sure that we provide opportunities for eligible pre-K children, 3 and 4-year-olds, to have actually a great success in our kindergarten program and beyond. And we also want to prepare them for college readiness. A lot of the research talks about the importance of early development, our early learning, all the initiatives that are available and opportunities for our boys and girls. This gives them an opportunity to build their oral language and vocabulary skills. We work on their social emotional development. We work on those cognitive skills. We're actually aligning our program a great deal along with the Virginia Foundation blocks for the state of Virginia, and making sure that what we do in our pre-kindergarten program aligns with our kindergarten program in the district. So we're actually preparing these boys and girls for kindergarten and beyond.
Wow, that's exciting. And so how long have we been doing this for our students?
The pre-kindergarten in Norfolk Public Schools, I think, began in 1977. So we've been in existence for a number of years. We began back in 1977 in a summer school program. And from that, the program has evolved over the course of the years. That now we have about 110 pre-kindergarten classrooms throughout the district for 3 and 4-year-olds.
And it seems like we're going a pretty aggressive approach to reach our pre-K students.
Absolutely.
And through doing this roundup. So how long have we been doing the roundup type of thing?
The roundup has been in existence for, I think this would be year 3.
Year 3.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Absolutely.
And how many students can you just guess that we've brought in so far? Hundreds, I'm sure.
Probably several thousands
Yes.
of students.
Wow.
Each year we serve approximately 2,300 to 2,400 students per year. That's pre-K 3 and pre-K 4.
So how many pre-K classes are going to be open and slots available for this go round?
Currently, there are 21 pre-K 3 classes, and those are Title I funded. And then we have 99 Virginia Preschool Initiative pre-K 4 classes throughout the district.
And so which schools are designated the schools that are going to be bringing in these pre-K classes?
Throughout the district, we're in 32 of the 35 elementary schools. And then we have a class at Easton, and we have a class at the Norfolk Technical Center, and then we have a center in Berkeley, the Berkeley Campus Stella Early Childhood Center.
Yeah, the governor came and he was excited about this new initiative. What do you think about the things that he's trying to propose for us?
I think if we're going to make a difference in the lives of children, we're talking about trying to make that long-lasting, lifelong learning. And I think if we're doing that, this is the right venue for us to begin with our pre-kindergarten program here. So I guess it's a great initiative. Everything was early learning, and we're knowing that if we're starting early, the research has proven that early learning makes a difference in the lives of children, in their academics, in their reading and math, and so in science and technology. So those are the type of things that we really want to push and pursue here in our district. And so working collaboratively with our parents and our schools and our teachers, working collaboratively together, that triad, that school, the parent, and the home, working together can make a difference in the lives of our boys and girls. So early learning provides that opportunity, giving them a fresh start, an early start in education.
And that's awesome, and I know our parents appreciate that. And so when is exactly this pre-K registration campaign going to kick off?
We're going to kick off on March 31st at the Southside Aquatic Center. We will be there from 10 to 6. And each week following that up until April 28th, we will have more events. So our second event will be on April 14th. at the Mary D. Pretlow Library, again from 10 to 6. April 21st, we'll be at the Park Place Multi-Service Center. And then on April 28th, we'll be at the Kroc Center.
That's exciting.
Yes.
So in order for you to enroll your child, what do the parents need to bring with them on site?
On site, they will need to bring proof of birth. So they need to bring their child's birth certificate, original copy, or the certified copy. They'll need to also bring proof of residency. That will be the current lease or utility bill, gas, water, electric, and it needs to show 30 days of usage. And then they also need to bring in, this is new this year, proof of income. And so I'm going to refer to my notes so I can make sure that they know exactly what they can bring one of. The income tax form 1040, you can bring that, your W-2 form from the recent year, supplemental security income or SSI, 2 recent pay stubs within 30 to 60 days, and you can have also, you can bring your temporary assistance for needy family statement or your unemployment compensation statement.
So tell me something. When they come with all this, if they don't have all the information with them when they come, is it an opportunity for them to bring it back to the home school that their child will be attending? Or what are their options?
We certainly want them to come, definitely, because that most important step is filling out the application, because of course there are some eligibility requirements that have to be fulfilled. But we do want to start that process. So come, even if you don't have that birth certificate, we will make sure that we have documents to help you get that. The application will be incomplete at that point, but we still want you to come apply so that we can consider your child.
Now, will every child be selected, or is there particular criteria or eligibility criteria for each child to be selected?
Well, I think it's very important to understand that this is a grant-funded program, and the grant-funded program has several eligibility requirements that we must follow, and these are not NPS guidelines, these are state guidelines. So in accordance with the state guidelines, eligible children have to be those children that are most in need. And so therefore, the goal is to make sure that we are serving the largest population of boys and girls in need that we possibly can, in accordance with those state and federal guidelines.
And this is a lot of information, and we're going to continue to help promote and share details about this program. But again, March 31st.
Yes, Southside Aquatic Center, 10 to 6.
10 to 6. Wonderful. Well, I want to thank you ladies for coming on. And again, we're going to help promote this program. And so as many pre-K students can get involved and be enrolled, we want that to happen.
That's right.
So thank you all for coming on the show and sharing this valuable information.
Well, thank you for having us.
Absolutely.
Thank you, thank you. And we want you to stay tuned for more NPS Now.
Welcome back to NPS Now. I'm Steve Sutmiller, Senior Coordinator of Athletics. Today we have Tommy Staples, Athletic Director from Granby High School. Welcome. And Mr. Ed Boyd from Maury High School, the Athletic Director. Welcome. All right, guys, we have you here to talk a little bit about being an Athletic Director and some topics in athletics that we think people need to know about. So, Tommy, talk a little bit about some of your daily tasks on being an Athletic Director.
Well, I think being an athletic director, the best part about the job is we really don't know what the job entails. You could have a whole day planned. You could show up and have a little schedule of what you want to do when you show up, and it could be completely thrown out the window. You could have a phone call you have to deal with, an eligibility question you have to deal with. Coaches are having issues in classes, teachers, kids. Just anything can go when you're an athletic director. You just got to be ready for everything. So.
Okay. Ed, how long have you been an athletic director at
11
Maury?
years.
11 years. Now, before that, what were you doing before that?
I was an AP US history teacher up in Williamsburg at Jamestown High School.
Okay. Were you involved in coaching?
Yes.
Okay. So do most athletic directors transition from coaching to that athletic director position?
I would say it's changing. It used to be yes. It used to be straight off. You know, you were a coach. My AD was Tommy Dolan. Tommy and I coached together at Lafayette. Then when we split the schools up there, he became the AD at Jamestown. Now he's with the VHSL.
Okay.
But for the most part, it used to be that was a give me. Now, anymore, not so much.
All right. Tommy, you mentioned eligibility, and that's what we want to focus on right now is Let's talk a little bit about being eligible as a student athlete for Norfolk Public Schools. What are some of the things there?
You know, it's all on GranbyAthletics.org, or you go to NPS webpage if you want to check that out. But obviously, you got to pass a minimum of 5 classes, have a minimum GPA of 2.0, which is the semester before you're playing. So in other words, if you want to be a fall sport athlete, you got to have a minimum of 5 classes and pass with the 2.0 in the spring season. So it's the semester before. You got to be a student in good standing, which is something that we've dealt with in the past. So if you get sent to Madison, you got to sit 90 days before you come back, and you're considered eligible to participate. So those are the basic ones. And obviously, you got waivers for different years and things like that. So.
Now Ed, I'm a first-time freshman. Talk about eligibility for a freshman athlete coming into your high school.
For the fall and actually the winter, they get a carte blanche. They do not have to have a 2.0. They do not have to have passed 5 courses. They start their eligibility, and this is where a lot of things with transfers and all have problems. You start your eligibility in your freshman year at the school you start with. Anything after that, if you move to some other school, it's a transfer. Okay, so you get a carte blanche the first semester. Second semester, all you were required to do is pass 5 classes.
All right, and that's what Tommy just mentioned about the semester.
Yes.
Okay. All right, so the 2.0 rule, that's not part of the Virginia High School League. That's a Norfolk Public School rule.
Right.
So as a freshman, when do they have to establish that 2.0 rule?
2.0 is not until their sophomore year.
Sophomore year.
We give them a year to adjust to the high schools. What was happening is we were losing too many kids to other things, and that we all met as ADs and with you yourself, and we said, let's get rid of the 9th grade so we can get these kids in with a more positive group in the schools, and that's why we started with basically the carte blanche with you don't have to have a 2.0 until your sophomore year.
Okay. All right. We got them all eligible. They're participating. Now, the Virginia High School League has gone through a number of changes over the last few years, mainly dividing our state up into 6 classifications. Let's talk a little bit about your thoughts on the Virginia High School League and how that's helped or hasn't helped Norfolk Public Schools in the competition aspect. So talk a little bit about what do the districts mean now?
It depends on who you talk to. It really does. Look at the city of Norfolk. The city of Norfolk has 5 high schools, and we have 4 classifications within the 5 high schools. And this was all brought about by the single A schools and double A schools who said they can't compete with the larger schools. So they voted to separate it, and which in the city of Norfolk, that your attendance in competing in VHSL activities, I mean, that really doesn't have anything to do with us. I mean, those 3 schools can compete with us just as easily, but it makes it difficult for a school like Granby, who is the only 6, trying to find games. If we're not doing a conference schedule next year, which is what we're not doing, say for instance basketball, our basketball schedule was done in December. So now we have to go out and find 16 games to fill our schedule, which is very difficult for a school like Granby.
Okay. Now, as far as the conference scheduling, that wasn't part of the Virginia High School League's initial plan, but a lot of coaches like the conference scheduling. So talk about conference scheduling, Ed, and how that came about.
Well, and I think Ken Tilley was totally off balance when he said that in the meeting that, you know, we listen to the coaches. Yeah, we listen to coaches because they're the backbone of the athletic programs. Mm-hmm. They're the kids that are actually dealing with the students day to day. So the coaches, and they made a good point. I was a coach myself, and I agreed with all my coaches that it didn't make any sense not to play any of these teams when it meant proceeding through regionals and states if you don't meet them at all at a conference level. So we were very, very pro for conference. Now, I'm in a better situation than Tommy is. We have a very good conference that works, and when Tommy was with that whole group last year, it went fine. But now he's faced with a different problem than I have, and that he has a conference that doesn't have a conference schedule, and we have one that stresses a conference schedule to the point that Virginia Beach is even breaking up football so we can have some conference games in football.
And that's going to be an interesting point as we move forward. All right, a lot of people want to know, you know, how does Granby become a 6A school, Maury a 5A, Booker T a 4A, move into 3A, Lake Taylor a 4A, and Norview a 5A? How does the state determine that?
It's all based on the enrollment.
Okay.
The enrollment, and then where you fall within that enrollment. So you want to explain that a little bit more of the 311 schools in the state.
And they split them up. Now there was a proposal at the last the meeting we were all in just last week up in Richmond. There's a big fracture now in the VHSL due to this new scheduling because the big schools did not want it.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at the old Eastern region made money, everybody was happy with it, the travel wasn't bad, and everything was fine. And now we're all over the place. Regions are all the way out to, well, you were last year all the way out to Roanoke, and it doesn't make any sense to us, and we were very much against it. And there's a big fracture between big school, little school, to the point that one of the legislatures is trying to pass a bill in the House, I guess the House of Delegates, which would say that it should be by proportion, not by one school, one vote. There was a proposal that we split it into two divisions, two classifications, big school, little school.
All right, so it sounds like the Virginia High School League has a lot of things on their plate to decide to try to better the system. We've been in the system for 2 years, and this is something that we're going to end on. What is your opinion on how it's gone so far at the competition level?
I think, some people come out and say that it's watered down, but I think it gives kids an opportunity to succeed, more kids to do that. We've had more kids progress to the next level. I think it has helped out that way. Financially, we're still trying to get numbers, still trying to get things figured out financially because we voted to a 2-year cycle. And so now that we got comfortable with what we're doing, we're getting shipped around again. So it's a learning curve. We're also learning, but it's not a bad thing right now.
Yeah, and I think both of you agree that the competition side of it, once it's kind of gone through the process, has worked out to the positive for the student athletes. So, guys, want to thank you for being here. A lot of good information. We could talk about a lot of other things on the agenda that's on the Virginia High School League agenda. I homeschool, so that's another show that we'll have you back on. So again, we want to thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
More NPS Now after this.
Welcome back to NPS Now. With me now is Patty Redens, Safe Routes to School Coordinator. Welcome, Patty, to NPS Now.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
You are the Safe Routes to Schools Coordinator. I want to get that right.
Yes.
And that's a new position because of a grant that we have here in Norfolk Public Schools. Tell us about the Safe School Routes to School grant.
Right. It is a program with the Department of Transportation that several folks in our Norfolk community got together to put the application in for the grant, and we were fortunate enough to get the grant here with Norfolk Public Schools, and really it's making a difference with kids and getting them to be more active as far as walking and biking to school. We've seen a trend over the last 30 years where within a mile of school, over 80% of kids would either walk or bike to school. And that's since dropped down to around 30%, or maybe even a little bit lower than that. So we're trying to, help kids understand the rules, the safety, and really get back to being more active.
So when did you implement this grant?
It actually started at the beginning of the school year. I wasn't actually brought on until December. So it's a little bit of a learning curve for me in getting familiar with Norfolk Public Schools and really getting to know the people in our schools, with the teachers, the principals, and even the administration.
So where has this program been implemented? Is it in elementary, the middle and high schools, or how does this work?
Right. It's actually available to elementary schools, to middle schools, and even the high schools. Right now our grant includes 11 elementary schools. Some of those include Bayview, Crossroads, Mary Calcott, Chesterfield. So we have 11 elementary schools, and I've had, very fortunate to visit all the schools right now and speaking with the principals. And we actually have one teacher at each school that is our lead contact.
That's great.
Yeah, so what we're trying to do in each school is build a team, a Safe Routes team. So we have a coordinated effort of kicking off the activities and incorporating the Safe Routes programs into the individual schools.
So why is it important for kids to walk or ride their bikes to school?
Well, we're kind of a society that we're kind of moving away from of walking, from biking, from being active, and trying to, you know, take a car everywhere or drive everywhere. And you think about that, there's pollution. There's a lot of traffic. So with the Safe Routes program, if you think of all the kids that are going to school and the number of cars and the traffic around schools, this helps with our program. It can help cut down traffic around the schools. It can help cut down the greenhouse gases, make things just a little bit more safe for our kids.
Why do you think parents may have reservations about their children walking to school or riding a bike to school?
Well, we do. We have several programs where we're trying to understand that, and each school is a little bit different. But we do a thing called a parent survey, and that's actually coming up this April, where we try to understand what are the barriers for kids to walk and or bike to school. And some of the biggest ones that that parents talk about is the distance to school. They think maybe it's a little bit too far. Looking at the number of kids within a mile of our schools, the majority of kids in Norfolk Public Schools live within a mile. And then depending on which school you're at, maybe a half a mile away, we have maybe 50% of those kids. So there's a huge opportunity to walk and bike to school that's not taken advantage of. One of the other barriers to doing this is the safety. Parents are worried about the traffic safety. Either they think maybe the cars go too fast or the road is just too busy, and they're worried about that. So it's just for me is getting out there, visiting the school, do a walkability, a bikeability audit, and find out what are the exact barriers at that school and how can we make it better and make it more safe for kids to walk and bike.
So now my next question is, what are some of the safety tips that you want to let the community know so our kids can actually walk to school or ride their bikes to school?
Right. Well, in teaching the Safe Routes program in schools is we actually do pedestrian education. We do bicycle education, making sure that they understand the rules. Walk left, ride right. So when you're riding a bike, many people don't understand that a bicyclist has has to follow the same rules that a motorist does. And you know, if you're riding on the road, you're riding on the right side with traffic. And helping kids understand that, you know, the rules and why they're in place, and it's to keep them safe. You see a lot of kids out there with bicycle helmets on, and you know, the rule of two, you know, 2 fingers, you know, if you're wearing that helmet, 2 fingers here, there's a strap that goes under the ears, 2 fingers, and then 2 fingers under the strap that goes under your chin.
Wow.
And you see a lot of kids out there, either the bicycle helmet's too big, too small, or they don't have it on properly. So there's a lot that we teach as far as the safety in the schools, and we're hoping that catches on by them going home, getting their parents to understand the rules, and trying to get the community and everybody involved.
This is a really unique grant that
Right.
you're doing in our schools. And so we have some activities coming up soon
Right.
with riding your bike and encouraging kids to ride bikes or walk to school. Share some of those activities with us.
May is National Bike Month, and May 6th is the Bike to School Day. So we're working with our schools right now to either having a Bike to School event, and we actually are having a Be Active challenge with them leading up to the Bike to School Day. Because not all children have the opportunity or availability to walk or bike to school, but right now we're trying to get them in the mindset of how can we be active, and then learning the rules, and hopefully we can get to where more kids are walking and biking to school. In the fall, we actually have a Walk to School Day.
What day is
yeah.
that going to be?
That I believe was in October.
October, okay.
So we have those 2 events.
This is a great initiative that you have here in Norfolk Public Schools, and I'm hoping that more of our students are going to walk or ride a bike to school. after seeing this show, or parents encourage them, what's a number or a contact place they can find information about this particular grant?
You can go to the Norfolk Public Schools site and go to the Health Physical Education part of the website, and my contact should be in there.
Wonderful. Thank you, Patty, for coming on the show and sharing this great information with us.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
And we'll get our bikes out and we'll ride that day.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Great to have you on the show.
Thank you.
We want to thank you for watching NPS Now. It airs weekly on WNPS, Channel 47, or you can view us online at www.npsk12.com. If you have any great story ideas or information you'd like to share, email us at npsnews@npsk12.com. Again, thank you for watching NPS Now.